The forest was hushed, save for the rustling leaves and distant chirping of unseen birds. A man, weary and thin, knelt before the Buddha, his hands trembling with fervent devotion. Ananda, the faithful attendant, approached the Buddha with a question that weighed heavily on his compassionate heart. Master, Ananda began, bowing deeply, many struggle to care for their elderly parents, losing themselves in the process. The Buddha, with a serene smile, beckoned Ananda to sit closer. Sensing the sincerity of his concern, Ananda, the Buddha began, his voice calm yet profound. Love and duty are like two wings of a soaring bird. A bird must balance both wings to glide smoothly. So too must we balance love and self-care. The Buddha paused briefly, his eyes glimmering with the wisdom accumulated through countless lifetimes of spiritual awakening. The Buddha gently nodded, his gaze unwavering yet kind. Loneliness is a visitor, not a permanent resident, the Buddha said, his tone carrying both warmth and clarity. Tell me, when you chose solitude, what did you leave behind? The man looked up, his brow furrowed with the weight of reflection. My family, my village, the daily strife of worldly life, he replied. The Buddha folded his hands in his lap, the motion as fluid as a river's current. And in leaving them, did you abandon attachment or merely evade it? The man's breath caught, and his eyes searched the Buddha's face for answers. I do not know, he whispered. Now, it is your turn to nurture their roots. But a tree must also receive rain and sunlight to flourish. To care for others, you must first care for yourself, nourishing your body, mind, and spirit with mindful compassion, the Buddha said. The forest may shelter you from the storm, but it cannot shelter you from yourself. A disciple nearby adjusted his robe, listening intently as the Buddha continued. When overwhelmed, pause to breathe, anchoring your thoughts and emotions in the here and now, I instructed him. Seek support, Sudatta, for the burden shared is a burden lightened, and community brings strength to our endeavors, the Buddha added. Sudatta took my words to heart, embracing mindfulness and building a network of support to share his responsibilities, the Buddha recounted. In time, his spirit grew lighter, his love for his parents flowing freely like a river unimpeded by rocks, he said. Sudatta realized that caring for his parents did not require the sacrifice of his own well-being. Enjoy, the Buddha concluded. The disciples listened intently, their hearts resonating with the simplicity and profound depth of the Buddha's story. Ananda, the Buddha spoke again. Remember, to care for others, we must nurture ourselves as we nurture the roots of love. Love is a flame that lights the way, but it needs the oil of self-care to burn brightly, he explained. Compassion begins within, and from this fountain, we draw the strength to extend kindness to the world around us, the Buddha said. Ananda bowed deeply, his heart filled with gratitude and understanding. His doubts dissolved in the clarity of the Buddha's words. It is both shield and balm. The man straightened slightly, the beginnings of hope igniting in his weary eyes. Compassion for whom? He asked, his tone tinged with both curiosity and doubt. For all, the Buddha replied, his voice resonant like a temple bell echoing through the valley. The Buddha's serene presence calmed their hearts. Even before he began to speak his words of timeless wisdom, Sariputta, with deep concern in his voice, approached the Buddha and bowed respectfully before asking his question. Master, Sariputta said, many feel torn between caring for their elderly parents and pursuing their own aspirations and duties. The Buddha, with a knowing smile, gestured for Sariputta to sit beside him under the shade of the Bodhi tree. Sariputta, the Buddha began, his voice resonating with compassion. Life is like the river, flowing around rocks yet continuing its journey. Balance is essential, for life requires us to navigate responsibilities and aspirations in harmony. Like the steady flow of water, I will tell you of Sujata, a woman of Rajagaya, who faced the very struggle that you have described," the Buddha said. Sujata was a gifted healer, known across the city for her skill in relieving pain and saving lives with compassion. Her parents, however, were elderly and frail, requiring her constant attention and care in their daily lives, the Buddha explained. Sujata was torn, for her love for her parents was as deep as her calling to heal the suffering, he continued. Day by day, the conflict within her grew stronger, and she sought guidance to reconcile her duties and her aspirations. When Sujata came to me, her heart was heavy, and her eyes carried the burden of unspoken questions, the Buddha recalled. "And what shall be my first step?" he asked, his tone steady yet laced with vulnerability. The Buddha's eyes gleamed, as though seeing beyond the man's form to the essence within. "Return to your village," the Buddha instructed, his words deliberate and measured. "Not to reclaim what you left but to offer what you have found." The man frowned, the lines of his face deepening as he struggled to comprehend. "What have I found, Blessed One?" he asked, his voice tinged with both despair and yearning. The Buddha reached down, lifting a fallen leaf from the ground, its surface veined and delicate. "Even this leaf, discarded by the tree, offers nourishment to the earth," the Buddha said, holding it aloft. "What you have found is the capacity to give, and in giving, to heal." The man's eyes welled with tears, the first of many that would cleanse the chambers of his heart. Sujata learned that balance is not a destination but a continuous effort. Like the river flowing through life's many challenges, her parents became proud of her work, and their bond deepened as they shared moments of mutual love and understanding. The city cherished Sujata's healing, and she came to be known as one who walked the middle way of life. The Buddha paused, his compassionate gaze resting on Sariputta, who sat in deep thought, absorbing the story and its lesson. "Sariputta," the Buddha said gently, "balance requires mindfulness, for only then can we navigate the current of life's responsibilities and desires. To care for your parents and follow your own path. Seek the middle way, where harmony blossoms like the lotus flower. Communicate openly, dedicate time intentionally, and remain mindful. For in these practices lies the key to a balanced and peaceful life." The disciples listened with reverence, their minds illuminated by the wisdom of the Buddha's words, like lamps dispelling the darkness. The day passed, but the Buddha's teachings lingered in their hearts, a guiding light to balance love and duty in harmony. Another day, another dusk painted the sky in hues of amber and crimson. As the Buddha walked through Jetavana Monastery, "Peace is not found," the Buddha said. "It is cultivated, like a seed nurtured by the sun and rain." "Master," Rahula said, bowing respectfully, "I am overcome with fear of the day when my parents will no longer be with me." The Buddha stopped, beneath the great Bodhi tree, turning to Rahula with a gaze filled with compassion and boundless understanding. "Rahula," the Buddha began, his voice soothing yet profound, "life is like the lotus that blooms and withers with the seasons. Impermanence is the law of all things. Within this truth lies not despair, but the seed of wisdom and peace. I will tell you a story of Anathapindika, who lived in Vasali and grappled with a sorrow much like yours," the Buddha said. Anathapindika was devoted to his elderly parents, cherishing every moment he spent caring for them with utmost diligence. When his parents passed away, the grief overwhelmed him, casting his heart into a shadow of despair and longing. He explained, "Seeking solace, Anathapindika came to me, his tears unrelenting and his voice quivering with the weight of his loss." The Buddha continued. Ananda furrowed his brow, his mind grasping the edges of wisdom but not yet its depth. "And these wounds, Master?" he asked, his words laden with earnest curiosity. "The love you shared is eternal. A light within you that death cannot extinguish nor time diminish, I told him. Your parents, like stars guiding the traveler, have left their radiance in your heart and memories, I continued gently. As they continued walking, the sound of muted weeping escaped through cracks in shuttered windows. The Buddha stopped before a cottage, its doorway adorned with wilting garlands, remnants of brighter days. He gestured to the disciples to remain, then stepped forward, his presence gentle but undeniable. To whom does this sorrow belong? He asked aloud, his voice carrying into the depths of the humble home. The sorrow within him gradually transformed into a deep sense of peace, as he honored their legacy through his actions. Rahula, the Buddha said, turning to his young disciple, impermanence is not a curse, but a truth that liberates us. It teaches us to cherish each fleeting moment and find joy in the time we have with our loved ones. Let not the fear of loss taint the present. Instead, let love guide your actions and give meaning to your days. Your parents, like all things, are part of the cycle of life, ever changing, yet leaving indelible marks on your heart. Do not cling to what will inevitably change, for in acceptance lies the freedom to love and live fully, the Buddha advised. Rahula bowed deeply, his tears giving way to a sense of clarity and acceptance that began to take root within. The disciples listened intently, their hearts touched by the profound simplicity and beauty of the Buddha's words on impermanence. The lamps in the monastery flickered, casting a soft glow as the gentle night embraced Jetavana in its peaceful stillness. The teachings of the Buddha continued to illuminate the lives of his disciples. Like the eternal light of the stars above, she told of her loss, her loneliness, and her despair, her voice growing stronger as the floodgates of emotion opened. The Buddha listened, his silence as profound as his words, a vessel for the woman's pain. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.